I like that. All right. I'm going to make it my mission today to at least see Ali laugh one time.
Good luck.
Yeah, thank you. It's not your day, is it, today?
It's not my year. It's not no one's here. Everything's shit.
No, that's true.
I don't know, man.
I know why you're sad, and we're going to get into it a little
I'm
bit
not
later.
sad. I'm stressed.
If you were a toilet paper salesman, you're having a great year.
Yeah, but I'm not. I'm stressed.
It's
My
actually
stomach hasn't
true.
started hurting for 3 weeks. I can't shit. Well, kinda, but not really. Life is not good. And I basically go 4 hours to work to just sit down.
Normally, anal gets shit loose, right?
Do you remember the part where I said that I haven't really pooped?
Yeah.
He will not get in.
Yeah, man, come on. Mr. Horstick over here will obviously not get in.
And on that note, welcome to the At Random podcast. All right. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Was that a laugh?
It was.
Did I just see you smile there? Ah, look at that. So early in the episode, and we already did what I had promised. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the At Random podcast. Oh, fucking hell, let's present this. I am joined by the lovely Alex, who is a very fine young gentleman with a cock the size of the pizza tower and just as crooked. I don't actually know. Does yours curve?
That's reasonably straight, I think, Batman.
I got a straighty straight.
I think
Like mine just yeah.
I think mine's got like just a nice little curve, but not like those fucking banana
to-
dicks that you see on porn.
To hit that side clit, right?
Oh yeah.
And of course we're also joined by the very lovely and with makeup today, I may add, the lovely Ali.
Hello.
Alejandra, how are you lovely girl, besides being terrible? Tell the people how good you feel today. It's a wonderful day.
I'm at places. Let's leave it at
Mentally
that.
at places.
Pretty sure
yeah.
everyone's at
She's
places.
a little bit stressed, but that's okay. You know what? These are times we can get stressed, and that's actually a perfect segue for me to bring up the fact that I got a little bit stressed a couple of days ago. Basically,
Calmer.
if you can hear by my, if you can tell by my laugh, that's a Corona laugh right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I had to call my doctor, and apparently I'm a carrier. So let's hope I die. Get our ratings up.
Especially if you do it on a recording.
Yeah,
I will still release that
would be-
episode.
yeah. You know what? Here we go. Look, listen, Alex, Ali, you both have my permission to use my death if it happens on the show.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Alex, just so you know, you have my permission to make fun of me and still give me penis jokes and gay jokes,
All right.
even after my death.
Cool. Should I do what we talked about in
Like
the
if-
money episode?
If, for example, I fall off my chair and I fall ass up and you can see it, I'd be perfectly fine with you, using
touching it.
that. Touching whatever is lifted up.
And I'm just gonna say,
Yeah, anyway, so I have COVID-19, basically, is what it
yeah,
it comes
and
down
we will
to.
be live streaming
And,
his funeral for those interested.
Actually, I have been thinking about like keeping updates on the Instagram page, but to
Instagram
be
doesn't
honest,
need more fucking Corona. It's everywhere. The world doesn't need it. Like,
exactly. I didn't want to be that guy. Like, I want to talk about it on the show, and to you guys, like, I called you guys right after I told my wife. I got it through a guy that I worked with, an older gentleman, but
It was your boss, wasn't
I still like. No, it wasn't. Because my boss cannot be seen in the factory. Like, he demands us to come to work, but he is not in that factory.
yeah.
He's a smart boss.
yeah, he's one of them. But yeah, so his wife got it, and he got it, and then I worked with him like 30 centimeters apart from him. He didn't cough and shit like that, so they know that I'm a carrier. But yeah, it's just that I have somewhat of a cold, I'd say, but nothing severe. Like it hasn't given me any fucking bad shit.
You haven't had any symptoms, really.
No, well, I did. Like the cough is there, like the dry cough and shit like that. Like that's there. Like that's and if there's one annoying thing I might say about it, it's just yeah, I lost taste and smell. Like everything is cardboard now.
Damn.
I had that for like almost 6 weeks. So.
Yeah, I mean, but having a 4-month-old running around and doing nothing but eating and shitting, it's basically a blessing in disguise for me. That's, by the way, that's one of the first thing I was worried about. But my doctor said like, nope, just don't worry about it. They won't get it. 9 chances out of 10. And I was like, well,
It's good enough.
she's 4 months old. Yeah, and he was totally chill about it, like way too chill about it. I was like sort of panicking. He's like, no, keep interacting with her. Just fucking if she has it, she'll have a slight cold, and like that'll probably be it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he looks at it like, well, if she doesn't get it, great, she lives. If she does get it and you happen to kill her, at least you're saving money on food and stuff.
Jesus Christ, Alex.
I'm just saying, maybe that's how he was thinking.
Well, true, but it's still my child, Alex.
I know.
I mean, come on.
I'm not saying I wanted to.
Come on, be a little humane here. I'd lose some income as well. I mean,
Oh, that's true.
no.
Hey, look, I'm just trying to get in the mood for this episode's theme, all right?
Yeah, well, the thing is, I when I called you, actually, this idea came up to do this episode, because Ali and me, we talked about my funeral, about how I wanted a Vikings funeral, and Ali was trying to convince me that they don't do that anymore. I was trying to convince her that I don't give a shit. But that seems like the most like fun death possible. Then like right there and there, that got me thinking like, what sort of funerals are there on the planet? And so I said to her like, we'll do that for the next episode. We'll talk about funerals and death and shit like that, which seems like a very appropriate time to do that. I do have a little service announcement, a service announcement that I have prepared for the end of the show. Yeah, I'm gonna speak my mind about this whole COVID thing. I'm gonna address the listeners, but that's
All right.
for the end of the show. So, you guys ready to get into it? Because I found 42 funerals and burying rituals.
That's quite a lot. When you think
That is more than you would
you're
think,
just
right?
putting someone in the ground or burning them. But 42 different
Are
methods.
these
Well-
40 like way that people still bury their people, or that thing that the stuff they've done over generations?
Have and still have, and still do.
Okay, I would have think it would have been more.
Well, the thing is, there's probably a lot more weird shit out there than we know. But I did find it interesting, though, that from all that I've read, that we are actually, as a Western culture, like, somewhat fucking up, I feel like, as far as, like, our burials and our rituals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because we're not that, like, environmentally sensitive than other people would be. There's actually a lot of naturistic ways of getting rid of a body.
Mhm.
One of the main ones that I found very interesting is the Parsi Towers of Silence. Have you heard about these?
I have not.
Sounds familiar.
All right. Well, so this is in Iran and India, right? These are like
Okay.
somewhat tall structures, and they're built in a circle, right? And there's a platform on the roof that is slightly pointed downwards. They put the bodies on there. Basically, a tower of silence is used by those of the Jesus, let me just take a second to fucking pronounce this. Zoroastrian, I think. Zoroastrian.
Yeah, Zoroastrians. Yeah, I quickly googled it.
Zoroastrian.
Yeah, Zoroastrians.
So these towers of silences used by those of the Zoroastrian faith and ritual. So it's basically exposure of death. The dead are laid out on the tower to be devoured by buzzards, like by birds of prey that just eat dead shit, basically.
Yeah, like eagles and hawks and stuff like that, right? Like, or
well, I
vultures
think
or-
eagles and hawks.
don't have vultures, I
more
don't think,
vultures and buzzards and shit like that. Yeah.
And bugs.
Now, their bones are collected and placed in a pit at the center of the structure to decay. So rainwater occasionally falls and washes the bones through chambers in the tower that purify and return them to the soil. So I thought that was a very environmental thing to actually do. It works on certain levels until the bones hit the ground and they pulverize and become the dirt you walk on. So that was a but actually birds are used more than once, because the one that people know most about are probably the sky burials.
No idea what that is.
You never heard of a sky burial?
Can't say I'm a funeral expert.
All right. Well, in Tibet, in most forms of Buddhism, bodies are meant to be cremated or given over to animals in an act of charity. Since there is little wood for burning bodies in Tibet, a practice of allowing vultures to pick the bodies clean evolved. Once picked clean, the bones are ground up and fed to crows. So nothing goes to waste here. So those are Tibetan sky burials, which again is fucking great with nature. If you think about it, we cut down trees to make our coffins.
Yeah,
They just
and then paint
give
them
back.
and everything.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And then put
Um,
decaying bodies full of chemicals in the ground.
oh yeah. Also that.
Yeah. Formaldehyde, amazing
But yeah,
stuff.
so in these cases, like they're one with nature. I feel like these are good times to say that it's time to get back a little bit to nature, because we've seen what the world's like, how much the world's changed ever since we locked ourselves in our homes, and
Just in general, the way Western worlds have evolved the relationship with a dead body over years, it's very distant. Like, you're not supposed to have any attachment to a dead body. Like, I don't know, it's not common to say, like, when you say, oh, I saw my dead grandma or whatever, like, people get like, oh, really, did you? And it's, I don't know, over time, like, compared to like the Victorian age, where funerals were held at home and you actually had the body at home, you had a different connection to the bodies in general. So death was a whole ritual, but you respected it. Well, nowadays it's like, oh, grandma died, grandma's in the fridge for 2 fucking weeks or whatever, 2 months in Sweden usually.
Yeah, that's in Sweden though.
Yeah, in Sweden they're in refrigeration forever. And then you have
that's fucking long.
Yeah.
3 months.
2 months, up to 2 months.
Yeah,
2 months.
Yeah,
Jesus.
1 month to 2 months.
That is long.
yeah, it's fucking weird.
And then you just have a funeral and that's it. Compared to obviously back in the day, you would have a funeral at home.
Why the 2 months then?
I don't not know. You did the research. Come on.
No, but it's
tell
really
me.
weird because like my mother's Greek, so I come from like when I go to like funerals on that side of the family, it's like Greek Orthodox, which is like I think within 3 days of death they have to be buried.
In Chile, it's the day after.
Yeah.
Literally the day after the person dies, you bury
Belgium
them.
has a week. And the only reason why they allow that week to happen, because otherwise it would be like either the weekend after or whatever. The only reason why they allow the bodies to remain somewhere for a week is basically to visit the bodies and say the final goodbyes. That's the only reason while they're like the bodies. Because with us, I don't know if with you it's the same for the 2 months. The bodies are on display for us. Like, you can literally walk into the room and say your last goodbyes, and they're usually in the clothes they either wanted to be buried in or just a normal good costume or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have like a lot of experience when it comes to this, but I remember like when my auntie passed away, they keep like the bodies in storage, and then you get a day where they give you a room basically, and we got to visit her. So she was in this little church room, and we could
Okay.
stay with her for as long as we wanted to, and people could come.
For an entire
And
day.
not an entire day, for like a few hours.
What are you gonna do? Play Scrabble? This is not necessary to have an entire day.
Pin the
For
tail
us,
on the
it's like
corpse.
10 minutes. Yeah. This is like 10 minutes. It's just like check if he has anything in his pockets left and just take it if you need it and fucking fuck off.
You're a dick.
Steal his
see,
necktie or
that's
something
such-
like
the
that.
thing
That's
is,
a good necktie.
This is also where it's so cultural because that's like such a Swedish way of doing things. Because here, like everything has like a system. Like you go to the pharmacy
okay.
here, man. You need to take a number to be served.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this makes no sense. Why can't I just stand in a line like a civilized human being?
Yeah.
I didn't understand that when
There's
but
actually-
Sweden's
yeah,
very like there's a rule for everything in a way, and I think that's why they do it that way. It's like everyone needs to know the time so that they can plan like when to come. Whereas like in Australia, it's the same. It's an open casket. You come for the few days before the funeral
Not everyone
You
has
can
an
see
open
it.
casket. You can't
Yeah, but
always have an open casket.
when you can.
But
Yeah,
in
that's
that
true.
wasn't the actual funeral. That was just a designated day that we could go and visit her body when that happened.
Huh, okay.
Oh yeah,
So-
but that's the same. You like at the funeral home before the funeral, like a few days before. You can go and people come and
Yeah, I don't know how.
I
it
don't know
works.
why they do
I
that, but
just
they can.
remember
Yeah.
going and seeing my auntie lying there.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's okay. But 2 months is a long time, though. I'm sort of surprised by the 2 months thing. Like, fuck, that is a long time for a dead body to be lying anywhere. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. The one that I wanted was the ship burial, and this comes from not the shit burial, the ship burial.
okay. I was like, oh my god, were you like a scat
yeah,
man?
yeah. I saw your
funeral?
face change.
Chuck him in a septic tank.
Yeah. All right. So this one comes from Scandinavia. If you're familiar with the Viking funeral, then you know about this one. A body along with grave goods, that is called. This is like long swords, armory, jewelry, a prized possession is put into a boat
Food.
made specifically for the occasions. For the occasion, sometimes the boat is sent to sea. Other times it becomes a kind of sarcophagus and is entombed. Fire is not always involved, but sometimes others are sacrificed to act as servants to the deceased in the afterlife. So people would either volunteer or be forced into this.
Mm-hmm.
Then we, of course, we have the plain old mummification. Yeah, this is ancient Egypt.
Mhm.
What type of There's lots of types of mummifications.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah. Like that's why I counted the Americas with it as well, and Asia does this as well.
But technically, most people do it like the way, like even regular funerals nowadays. What they do is like they pump the body full of chemicals, different chemicals.
Yeah.
And it's to preserve it. So in a sense, we still mummified our bodies because we still do it.
Stay with me on this one, right?
Yeah, somewhat.
This is
Okay.
what we're going to use all the excess toilet paper after this thing is done to do. We're going to like get our loved ones that died of COVID-19 and just start mummifying them with toilet paper.
So,
Just wrap 'em
Yeah,
up.
I know by the end of the year. Come October 30th, there's gonna be a lot of mummy costumes out there for Halloween. So, because of all that excess toilet
So many
paper
houses are
everybody's
getting
gonna have.
TP'd on Halloween.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Egyptians are best known for the practice of mummification, but mummies can be found in the Americas and Asia as well. Some of the oldest mummies are from the Spirit Cave in Fallon, Nevada, and are estimated to be 9,400 years old. Now, in mummification, the organs are removed or the body is otherwise desiccated and protected against pests. Basically, is what Ali said with the chemicals. Then a fun one, sign me up for this one. Funerary cannibalism. Did you know that was a thing?
I didn't, but
what?
I
No.
mean, it's like a free barbecue, I guess.
Where would you think funerary cannibalism comes from? I mean, the word speaks for itself. I mean,
South America somewhere.
okay, good, yeah. Ali, where do you think?
I don't know.
Okay, that took you a long time to say that. You don't know.
She was actually shrugging her shoulders at the camera, and then I think she remembered that this is, there's no video. It's a podcast, not a YouTube video.
Shut up.
All right. Well, so it comes from Africa. Wait, let me die for a second. Oh God!
Put F in chat.
Were you gonna say Africa?
Yeah, I thought like either African or like Alex said, like some South American tribe.
But you didn't.
But I didn't say it.
Did you, Alex?
She lies.
You lie.
Built on a throne of lies.
Well, I'm
Anyway,
married to you, so.
Jesus. Anyway, so this is from Africa, South America, as Alex said. Congratulations on that one, buddy. Oceania is also a part of the world where that is being done. Now, in this practice, the dead are eaten by mourners as an act of compassion or to absorb the life force of the deceased. The Yanomami of the Amazon rainforest are one famous tribe that still practices this to this day. They cremate the dead and mix the ashes with a banana paste.
Yes. I do
so,
know this.
yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
about this before. No, you said it.
All right, cool.
I am smart. I know
I'll
things.
try it out. Why not?
Yeah, I mean the banana paste sounds good. What's a little bit of ash? I smoke cigarettes on a daily. Like I'm sure I get more ash in my fucking face than anything
and
else. So.
just like it's like that relative you didn't really like, but you could never tell them because they're your relative, and now you get to eat them. It's like the ultimate revenge.
See, if you didn't like them, I feel like you'd eat a neutral piece, like a thigh or maybe just a calf. Like something, if you really like them, you eat a dick, of course.
Obviously.
And or the vegan or the bob and vegan.
Yeah. I'd eat their eyeballs.
But that's actually a good one. I hear those are somewhat like protein rich, but they don't taste too good.
I mean, they don't look appetizing to me. I'm just thinking if I didn't really like them that much, it's like, I'll eat your eyes, motherfucker. You don't need them anymore.
Yeah. Ali, what part of the body would you eat from your enemy?
Ew, nothing. I don't want that bitch in me.
Lies. She literally said to me once when I first met her that she wants to try human flesh.
Now, I want the people to know that what Alex just said is absolutely true.
It is actually true.
But I said
and
that,
it
yeah.
was the first time. Wait, he did say the first time you met.
No, it wasn't the first time we met.
Not the first, it was around early on.
Yeah, no, I would want to
Early
try.
on,
But
yeah.
when
she
put
was
it
trying
like,
to make you fall for her.
yeah, but when you put it, I don't want to eat my enemies. Why would I want to do that? I don't care about that.
I've heard so many fucking weird things about you, dude.
About who?
I've heard that you sacrifice babies. That is an actual thing you did.
I've heard that too.
No,
Like
that was just
Ali,
me
don't
getting
look that
bullied
pissed
in
at
high
me.
school.
Like I'm just saying what I heard. You know, I can't stop the story. Don't shoot the messenger.
Well, that was kids bullying me at school because I liked metal and I would dress in black and listen to satanic music, and they would
That's a
say
lie.
that
There's a reason you're banned from kindergartens.
I'm not banned from kindergartens.
The first kid in history to be banned by kindergarten or in kindergarten. But that is like, I swear to God, there must have been something. You make it come off so fucking like so easy. Like you go over it. Look, when people spread the rumor that you sacrifice babies, there's probably something more creepy to you than just black clothing.
I listened to satanic music and they didn't like it and they were scared of me. It's like back in the
They
day
were
we
right
used
to
to.
be.
How old were you when this rumor spread?
Well, 13, 14.
Jesus Christ, that's so young to be saying shit like that.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Kids are dicks. So
That's why you sacrificed
But
them.
what used to happen was like, because back in the day we had like, instead of Instagram and Facebook, we had a website called Playahead. in Sweden, which was kind of like, yeah, you could see people who went into your page and stuff.
So like MySpace.
Kind of like MySpace, but it wasn't MySpace.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly kind of like MySpace. I didn't use MySpace. I used Play Ahead because that's what we had in Sweden.
Okay.
And you can make different tabs, like different web sites on pages on your actual page. And so on each side, I would have like music that I liked. And so the kids would always, because when you had like the computer classes, so you would, because back in the day we didn't have computers and laptops with us at school. We had a room that had computers, that had the internet, and occasionally we had to go there to do stuff for school. But no one did anything for school. Everyone just went into like Play Ahead or Lunarstorm, which is another one, a Swedish website, and did super shit. But there was always that one kid that forgot to turn the fucking speaker off, and they would go into my fucking site, and it would just be like, "Bah!" And everyone was like, "What the fuck, Ali, turn your fucking shit off." And I'm like, it's not me. Stop stalking me. Don't go into my page.
Yeah.
Was it like Cannibal Corpse
And
or
then
something?
No, it wasn't Cannibal Corpse.
And then she drew a pentagram on the floor, and she took out her knife and sacrificed 3 small children right then and there for just telling her music was
And
trash.
then the teacher was gonna like call the authorities, and then she grabbed her son, the teacher's son, and went, "If you tell him, he's gone."
So people would say I would
Anyway,
drink
so
baby's
that's a little-
blood,
that-
kill cats, and everything. So I've heard it all. Thank you.
Yeah. That's a little backstory on Ali, aka the sacrifice
Baby
lady.
killer.
Baby killer. All right, so the next one is bog bodies. You probably figured this one out pretty easily.
Yep.
This is throughout Europe, mainly in the north of Europe. Bog body is a specific type of mummy. The deceased is buried in a peat bog, which naturally mummifies the corpse with its unique chemistry. It is thought to be a form of ritual sacrifice.
It just sounds like a funeral for poor people. They're like, they couldn't afford a real funeral, so they're
really
yeah,
does.
so like, hey, fuck you, Bob from Kentucky, just chuck you in this bog when you're dead.
I was
you
waiting
motherfucker.
for that one to happen.
It's like, we can't
Bob come
can't
from
afford your
Kentucky.
funeral, Bob.
The new cast member of the At
Yeah,
Random
get in the
podcast,
bog, you
Bob
piece
from
of shit.
Kentucky. Yeah.
No funeral for you.
Well, talking about bogs and people from Kentucky and America and shit like that, there's also something very spectacular in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the US of A, and that is jazz funerals.
Jazz.
Do they
funeral?
like put you inside a saxophone and your penis comes out, and instead of the reed, they use your penis and they play you like a sax?
No.
Ah, okay.
No. A reed is something very thin. So only your penis could be used for that. Anyway, a funeral procession unique to New Orleans, Louisiana, and the Cajun culture.
Yeah, Cajun culture.
Cajun, is that
Yeah.
it? Yeah, Cajun. Jesus Christ, translating in my head and does not compute. This funeral practice blends traditional European and African culture. A jazz procession leads the deceased from the funeral home or church to the grave, playing dirges and sad music all the way. Afterwards, the band plays merrier music at a post-funeral party where the life of the deceased is celebrated. I thought that was
Sounds
fucking fun.
Yeah,
one.
that sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sign me up. Yeah, I'm
I
down.
think they have like in the sense like pop culture wise, if you want to see what those type of funerals are, I think they have it in. I think it's American Horror Story season 3, like the Salem witch tribe. They have a funeral, like a Salem funeral, not Salem. New Orleans funeral.
Okay, I didn't get past season 1 because I never checked out the rest. Unfortunately,
That show's terrible.
That show is fucking
So good.
Terrible.
no. I liked the first season. Like seriously, I want to watch it. I just never got around.
Really
to it.
good. Can we just pause for a second? Alex, can you go get me some more water?
If I don't, she's gonna kill another child.
We're not leaving that in. I don't care.
Wrong.
That is definitely staying in. Like, definitely.
Okay, Andy, sorry. You continue.
It's okay.
Don't you fucking go.
You're actually coughing
okay.
the wrong way. You need to cough into your elbow. Thank you,
Vampire cough.
Corona Man.
I only cough into other people's assholes, and preferably 60 years or older. All right, next one up. Catacombs. You might think like this is an odd thing to say when you're talking about burials and funerals and blah, 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 blah. But catacombs are actually used worldwide. Now, catacombs are any underground place reserved for common burial of the dead. The word originated to describe the Roman catacombs, which were outside of the main city. Some catacombs may be within city borders, though, like in Paris. The unique nature of the Roman catacombs allowed for mourners of even traitors, martyrs, or heretics to gather and mourn without fear of city authorities. So that's the reason why they placed the catacombs out there. And I thought that was an interesting thing. That's why I put it in.
That's
Do you know why they
Kinda
put
cool.
them in the catacombs?
No.
In Paris, especially because like they had so many bodies that like, it was something a building collapsed.
You mean
and
why
like,
they put them in the Paris catacombs?
what?
Why they put them in the Paris catacombs? Why those catacombs? Yeah. It's basically an overpopulation of the cemetery.
Yeah, the
right?
overpopulation and like a building, like the walls fell in, and there were bodies because it was next to a cemetery sort of thing, but they were overcrowded.
Yeah.
So then they were like, but the catacombs, because they used minerals.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like when Paris was still underwater, there were so many.
Yeah.
I'm losing all my words. But the marble that they use in Paris and most of the buildings, they were dug out from the catacombs. And so they thought, why don't we use to put the bodies there because we have too many bodies. So they shoved them in there.
Exactly. That is kilometers long, by the way. Like we're not talking about a few hundred meters of like a place. There's, apparently, from what I've heard, there's actually places that are just open, filled to the brim with bones. Like it's absolutely because this was not just from one burial place, by the way. This was bodies from all over Paris, and Paris was over fucking populated at that point in time. Yeah, it's a very eerie thing as well because like they used carts to pile up bodies, like open carts, and walk through the streets with these. You remember the plague doctor masks?
Yeah.
So they had people wear that, and then they were preceded by priests who were praying. So in the middle of the night, you see a couple of priests walking with candles in their hands, then a cart like filled to the brim with bodies, and then just one plague doctor guy walking behind it. And it's just the weirdest fucking thing ever to happen in the history of France, I think.
We should go to Paris and take a tour of the catacombs.
Oh God, I wanted to so bad.
Yeah.
And not the legal part too. Like you can take the legal part, but I've heard of guides out there that do the illegal parts, like where the creepy shit happens. I wanted to go there, but like, you know. Then there's a story about the guy that never found his way back up, and the video, and
the guy that dropped
look into it.
drops the camera.
Yeah. The guy that freaked out. All right. So next one, this is cenotaph. This is used worldwide as well. It's a unique monument that commemorates the death of a group of people or stands as an empty grave for someone buried elsewhere. The tomb of the unknown soldier is a good example. The cenotaph is a monument in Whitehall, London, that acts as a monument to all UK's soldiers, but primarily those who died in World War I. So you might say that the tomb of the unknown soldier is a cenotaph. next to monuments and stuff like that, like commemories and blah blah blah
Yep.
blah. Runestones is a great example of that as well.
Mm-hmm.
These were used in Scandinavia and also elsewhere. Didn't find out exactly where.
Norway
The
and Sweden.
Norsemen.
That's Scandinavia, buddy.
Oh, I thought he said Sweden.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, Scandinavia.
Yeah, Scandinavia. Norsemen erected runestones in memory of the dead. These tall stones were carved with exquisite and intricate runes telling of the deceased deeds. They weren't always erected near a gravesite. It could also be a place of religious or personal significance. So, for example, he had a battle somewhere, and then they would go out into the battlefield where his most glorious battle was held, and they would put a memory stone there telling all the people of the battle that happened there and how he was victorious.
Yeah,
and blah,
there's
blah,
a really cool one in a place called Sigtuna, which is like half an hour from where we live, Ali.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty sure it's like, it tells about two brothers,
Oh, yeah, that one.
and it's in someone's backyard, and because it's like a heritage thing, they're not allowed to remove it. And this is like kind of a tourist spot just near Stockholm.
Yeah.
So like they
Okay,
have to like
cool.
have it open so you can see it, and they have like a thing that explains what it says. And it's like, on this giant rock with like carved in red, they've carved out. I don't know what they use to color it, but it's super cool,
Yeah.
and it tells a story about like two brothers and some of their exploits before they died.
In Sigtuna,
Oh,
you
yeah,
have
cool.
quite a few of them.
Yeah, there's a lot there,
There's a lot
'cause
of them.
That was like the original like trade route that the Vikings used to use, because it's on like a river system
Oh,
that
yeah.
goes up through there.
Who even, like, they're kind of, like,
They're everywhere,
everywhere.
here.
Yeah, there's even
Yeah.
one, like,
Oh, that's
5
cool.
minutes away from my mom's house. And there's a really cool one just kind of next to the cemetery, next to the train
Yeah.
station. And, yeah, we have them here and there.
Okay, cool. Well, I just thought
wait.
that was a very
I'm going to
interesting
put up a
thing to do.
picture of one, because 2 years ago, Ali and I went away for a weekend trip, and we were just driving down
Okay.
the highway, and we see this enormous rune stone. I'm talking like over
Oh.
2 meters tall. So I got a
Oof.
picture of me standing next to it. So I'll put that up on Twitter or something. They're super cool.
That's a
Hey, it
big
was a
boy.
Fucking
There were
enormous.
two
We
of
had to
them.
stop. I'm like, we have to see this. It's fucking enormous.
It's like a big
Yeah, we
penis.
almost missed them. We were just driving, and then I was like, oh, look. And then he was like, okay, let's go there.
All right, cool. All right, on to the next one. Burial at sea. Now, where this actually comes from is unknown. This is an ancient tradition with roots so deep they're difficult to trace, but most major religions have their own specific customs for performing a burial at sea. Sometimes, when a body cannot be located, a cenotaph, or rather than a body, may be symbolically thrown into the sea. So, for example, people who get lost or raped or like murdered and they can't find a body, blah 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 blah. They use a cenotaph, or like we formerly said, some sort of representation of that person, and throw that in the sea instead. Next one up is Charon's Obol. This comes from ancient Greece. Now, I think you all know Charon?
Nope.
No?
Not.
Well, she's the wife of Ozzy Osbourne, and when he needs her, she says, Sharon! No, that's not Sharon. In ancient Greece, an obol was 1/6 of a drachma. This coin, or a symbolic coin of similar weight and shape, was left with the dead to pay a fee to Charon, ferryman of Hades. So we all know Hades.
Okay.
This was the guy that drove the boat. That was his
Yeah.
name.
He and Hades were the only ones to go, like, cross the line between
Yeah.
the dead and living.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. But anyway, the coin in some traditions was left on the eyes. In others, it's placed on the tongue. Persistent tradition, it spread from Greece to Rome, and from there on into Christian Europe. I found examples as well, because Pope Pius IV, I think, I can't remember which one it was. I think it's Pope Pius IV. Was buried with an obol in 1878. So, still even in Christian tradition, it happened as well. Next one that I found very nice, and I've seen pictures of this, was a jade burial suit. Now, I hadn't heard of this, but it does look fucking awesome. Just Google it for a
All right,
second.
I'm going to take a quick look.
Yeah, this comes from the Han Dynasty of China. Royal members of the Han Dynasty were buried in ceremonial suits of jade. Now, the jade was cut
wow.
into squared rectangular shapes.
Yeah, that's cool.
And these shapes were threaded with wire to cover an entire body. It's like a suit of armor.
Yeah.
And they were extremely expensive and took years upon years to complete. But they look fucking sweet as fuck. Just type in jade burial suit.
Basically look like the Iron Giant. When you're like...
yeah, exactly. It's like the most epic fucking thing like you could be buried in.
Pretty cool.
On to the next puppy. An ecological burial. Now, this has been worldwide late in the 19th century, and we all probably know what it is. Now, in the modern era, some people wish to be buried in a more eco-friendly way instead of taking up space, like we said in the beginning, in a graveyard, or realizing toxins harmful to the environment with cremation. This form of burial emphasizes quick decay of the body and dissemination into nature. So,
Okay.
for the people out there that are doing this, thank you. You're part of the solution and not the problem. And then there's something that's called Antyesti, which is from India. This is a Hindu practice, literally translates to last sacrifice, depending on the caste, gender, and age of the deceased. They are symbolically returned to the elements of creation in a specific ritual. It is common that a funeral pyre is used in at least one part of this practice. Then I want to talk about the Western shit we do. This is cremation, this is a pretty big one with us.
One.
It's used worldwide. It's very popular in Buddhism, Hinduism, and has historically been practiced all around the world. The Christians' reverence for the physical body led to cremation being outlawed in many Western countries, but those laws have since been discarded. Then I found something that was body positioning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's not really a form of burial, but it is important in many traditions. The position of the body in the grave or coffin is important in many traditions. Christian burials have been oriented with the head pointing west and the feet pointing east, according to the coming of Christ and Judgment Day. In Islam, bodies are perpendicular to Mecca, with the face looking towards it.
Mm-hmm.
In some cases, assassins, thieves, suicides, and other disrespected dead may be buried upside down or at crossroads to,
Signify their eternal damnation.
Yeah.
I just wanted to point out something quickly about cremation.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously that is like the most common one used nowadays. And people think, but that's better, blah, blah, blah. It's more environmental friendly. It actually is an environment.
It's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's absolutely not.
Yeah, but there's I don't know, you maybe have it further down your list, but there's a new up and coming. It's been around for a while, but most people don't know about it and don't have access to it, which is
The treating?
alkaline hydrolysis, which is also called aquamination. So it's like a cremation, but you do it with water instead.
Oh, is that a freezing
No,
thing?
it doesn't freeze. It liquefies the body. Like they're put into a kind of like a cylinder, and it's filled up with water and some type of chemicals, not like really harsh chemicals. I can't remember exactly, but I think it's like over 70% water. Like it uses less water than a person would use in a bath, for example. And most of the things that it leaves is like some fragments of bones, and you don't need like the heat from a crematorial, like you don't get the toxins from cremating the bodies and stuff like that. It's much more environmentally friendly. and that is also an option if you don't want to get buried in the ground per se.
All right, well, didn't know that one. What I did find is a more ancient technique of burying that I found fucking epic, which is hanging coffins. Now, you might have come across a couple of pictures of this online. This is in China and the Philippines, hidden high up along mountainsides and in difficult to reach places. The people of Sagada in the Philippines believed that the closer a coffin was to the sky, the closer the deceased was to heaven. So they would hang their coffins actually up on walls of mountains. Another interesting fact to know is flowers and stones that we use. You know, the headstones and blah 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 blah, and the flowers that we place on them actually come from. It's used worldwide, but Cicero of Rome describes flowers being planted around a grave to purify the ground of human remains. The Jewish tradition of leaving small stones on a grave is ancient. It can be tracked down to a time when gravestones were not used instead. Small stones were somewhat piled to mark a grave. So these were just like to, let's say, to show where a grave would be instead of a commemorative plate of some sort. As long as visitors tended the grave and left the stones, the dead would be remembered. Then there's air sacrifice. This is used in Mongolia, similar to a sky burial, but still unique, because a holy man, a lama, guides the family and body of the deceased to its source. There, the family lays the body out in the open and makes an outline of it with stones. Then they allow hungry dogs and birds to devour the corpse, leaving only the outline, a representation of its spirit. Next up, sati. This is a practice in India. It's an old practice outlawed in, 1861, I think.
Sounds good. If they want to Google it, they can.
Yeah, Google it. It was outlawed, period. This was a practice whereby a widow would throw herself alive onto her husband's funeral pyre. It mirrors the story of the goddess Sati, a consort of Shiva. Or Shiva.
So Shiva.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Then we got spirit offerings. This is also used worldwide. Offerings such as alcohol, rice, food, money, cars, and other things are sometimes symbolically or literally given to the dead. Hell money, a specific kind of counterfeit currency, is often burned for the dead during East Asian funerals. Edgar Allan Poe's Poe Toaster was famous for leaving a spirit offering of roses and cognac at Poe's cenotaph. Then there's Kiribati skull burial. The Republic of Kiribati in the Central Pacific does this. A few months after burial, the body is exhumed and the skull is taken. The family of the deceased will polish, oil, preserve, and display this skull in their home.
Damn.
Sometimes offerings of food and tobacco are made to it. So if you want to keep on smoking for the rest of your afterlife, the Republic of Kiribati in the Central Pacific is probably a good place for you to be. Another interesting one in South Korea. Have you heard of burial beads?
Are they like weird anal beads?
You probably could make them into anal bead, but since there is such limited space for burials in South Korea, because like as we all know, they deal with overpopulation pretty much every day, they have to get creative with the bodies of the deceased. In this practice, the body is cremated and pressed into jewelry like beads, like small beads. They are often colorful and kept in an urn or bottle.
Imagine just putting them on like a necklace. It's like, hanging out with Gran.
Yeah, it probably that
Probably.
happens. I mean, I'm not sure. I didn't come across any examples, but that was the first thing that I popped up. And there's actually some creative things that people still do with this body. In Madagascar, for example, you have Famadihana, and this is known as the turning of the bones. the Malagasy people dig up their dead every 5 to 7 years to take care of them. They rewrap the dead, perfume them, dance with them, and share stories. So they take them out of the grave to talk to them a little bit.
Dance with a corpse. It's been dead for 5 to 7 years.
Well, they mummify them.
True.
Yeah. All right. Ghana has fantasy coffins, apparently. The Kenkwe Carpentry Workshop in Ghana is famous for creating fantasy coffins that are fun ways to celebrate life at a funeral. Some are shaped like cars, other like chili peppers, airplanes, or fish. They always have something to do with the life of the deceased. So basically, they make funny coffins.
So mine would be a horse penis.
Probably. Probably. And your plaque would say biggest dick in the world.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
The Tingwayan funeral in the Philippines. The Tingwayan people dress the dead in their finest clothes, sit them in a chair, and give them a smoke. There the dead sit smoking for several weeks. Yeah.
Do they smoke opium, or is it just like...
Nah, it's normal cigarettes, normal tobacco.
You don't really care about your family, do you, if you're only giving them tobacco? You give them like opium or meth or something.
Just give them a spliff at least. Yeah, exactly. Haida Totem Funeral. This is used in North America. The Haida people gave this honor to shamans, chiefs, and warriors. The dead would be clubbed to a pulp and put in a box. Then the box itself would be placed on a high totem pole to decompose. So what an honor it is to be...
It's like a funeral piñata.
Except no candy.
Nah.
Yeah.
Well, unless you're a cannibal, I guess.
I guess, yeah. Here's an interesting one as well that I found. Eternal Reefs. This is used in Florida of the Eustated Knights of Americas. The ashes of the dead are mixed into a concrete material with a naturally high pH value. The concrete is then shaped in a texture into a sort of reef ball and lowered into the ocean where marine life and coral reefs will take root. So that's a very fantastic way of taking care of nature and taking care of
Imagine
corpses.
that being your job. Like, what do you do for a living? Like, well, I sculpt dead people into like ocean balls.
I think Ali just came a bit thinking about that one.
She looks so impressed right now.
Just kind of, yeah. Well, if you came because of that one, you're definitely going to come thinking about this one. Strangulation Funeral. This is used in Fiji. Family members who were close to the deceased were murdered, usually by strangulation. In this now outlawed funeral rite, widows were the ones most often killed in this way. It was believed that the god Ruvuyalo would destroy the spirit of a man who did not enter the afterlife with his wife. So if husband dies, so dies woman.
Oh, we were talking about this yesterday, Ali and I. About how, like, back in the day.
Yeah?
Were we?
Yeah, we were walking in from your mum's place and we were talking about how, you know, in some cultures, like, if the husband died, the wife had to go too.
Yeah, or marry the brother.
Yeah. It's kind of fucked up.
Yeah. Bitches got to go. I see you nodding. What's on your mind?
Who? Mine?
No, Alex.
I'm just thinking, like, how unlucky do you have to be? Because we all know that men are kind of dumb and die from stupid things and almost always die first. And then you're like, oh, great, now I got to fucking go too. That fucking idiot. Like, I told him not to put his head in the tiger's mouth or whatever. And I'm like, oh, now I got to die too.
Yep. Had to do it. But here's one for Alex that I found. Funeral strippers in China and in Taiwan. Yeah,
Is this the
absolutely.
Taiwanese thing?
Having... Yeah, it is. Having a well-attended funeral is a subject of great concern in Taiwan. To attract a crowd, some families hire strippers, host dancers, and set out elaborate feasts to entice people to attend.
And I need more Taiwanese friends.
It's very frowned upon though, but
yeah.
people still do it and they still go.
Yeah.
The best was when the mayor died, and I think it was the mayor of a city or something like that.
Mhm.
And I think it was in Taiwan. And they had strippers on trucks running down the main road, and everyone
It's
was
the
like, the
best
whole
fucking
city
thing
was
ever.
just out and like amazed.
Yeah.
See, the Asians always do it
Yeah,
better.
what a way to go.
You know,
what
yeah.
a way
You know,
to
like
go.
Western culture, we were like killing people in the streets back in the day, like beheading them. And in Asia, instead, they're just doing
Yeah.
street parades of strippers and
Street
hookers for
hooker-
the dead man.
Street hooker parades. Yeah.
Damn, imagine how much money they would have made.
Look, I'm down for all this if I get to do it in Brazil because them bitches got asses. Like,
sure do.
if I'm gonna have strippers, like I'm gonna go Brazilian. Anyway, on to the next one. From the ground down to the skies up, you can bury yourself into space. Now, this is probably done only in the United States at this point. Companies like Celestis Incorporated and Elysium Space offer to take your ashes into orbit around the Earth. For a more expensive price, you can send a loved one's ashes on a one-way trip to the moon.
Fuck that, man. I just want you to put my body into a cannon and shoot me out into space.
Yeah, just shoot it with a potato gun.
Yeah, I just want my body, like my corpse, frozen corpse, just floating through space for eternity.
There you go. That's
Until the
good.
aliens bring me back to life in 25 million years.
Yeah, probably. All right, so Mayan rituals. You know, the Mayans are pretty famous for their killings and shit like
Yep.
that. So this is Latin America, of course. The Maya buried their dead with maize, a symbol of rebirth, in their mouths. Grave goods like food, jade, whistles, and statuettes were provided to guide the dead through the afterlife. Now, since we're talking about guiding through the afterlife, there's such a thing as a totem pass. This is used in ancient Greek, Egypt, northeastern Africa as well. Initiates of ancient cults to Orpheus and Dionysus, or members of certain Egyptian or Semitic religions, they would carry passports of the dead. Now, these tablets made of metal or stone would have a picture of the deceased on one side and instructions for navigating the afterlife on the other.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Is it possible to be an afterlife refugee? If you did
It
not have the passport, can you still get in there?
It probably is. Yeah, no. From what I've heard,
Ali looks so
to-
impressed.
you don't want me to carry that one, Ali? I can make a funny one out of that one.
No, don't.
Okay, I'll go to.
You better start sorting out my passport then when I am being a refugee in the afterlife.
Gotta get that right stamp on there, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Now, anyway, death masks. I fucking love this one, the death masks. Of course, this is ancient Egypt. Death masks come in many different styles. The earliest found in ancient Egypt were not direct casts of the face, but rather stylized carvings. And then later Romans would cast the face of the dead in wax. In Europe, death masks were made with wax or plaster. And the masks of the famous and powerful were preserved and displayed in churches or places of political importance. And now one that we've talked about before that now comes up is the Memento Mori. You probably know this one as pretty much post-mortem photos. Now, the Victorian era saw a particular fascination with death and mourning. Post-mortem photographs were common. Spirit photos, they're called as well, were popular and created using a double exposure that created a ghostly image of the deceased next to a solid image of the mourning. Jewelry and tokens with the hair of the dead were also prized and often given as affectionate gifts.
You know, like one of those pictures takes like 2 minutes to take. So the more like the people that would post next to them, is what you do. I don't remember the exact steps, like, but you expose the film, and then you have to leave it, and then you have to change it and stuff like that. So they have to stay still for 2 minutes.
Well, for the dead guys, it was no problem. So
They're
Think you're
facts.
funny?
That's science.
A little. Well, anyway, on to the last 6. The tumulus. This is used worldwide, otherwise known as a burial mound. Some have entrances, while others look like large hills. There is a careful constructed burial chamber, or several, within the tremendous pyramid of Anatolia, which is a 69-meter high tumulus, winkety wink, with a diameter of 355 meters.
Jesus.
A whole area of Japanese history is named for their unique tumulus, the Kofun. The Daisen Kofun is 400 meters in length.
Damn.
And designed like a keyhole. Now, next up is Etruscan Cities of the Dead, which is ancient Tuscany in Italy. Imagine a graveyard with every grave being an elaborate tomb. This kind of necropolis exists in Egypt, and especially interesting varieties were created by the ancient Etruscans of Italy. Their cities of the dead had many chambers, with each corpse having its own room completed with furniture. It doesn't make any sense to me, but like they had them. Now the chambers were connected by city streets in a careful grid.
So like they were the ultimate city planners. We should
Somewhat.
should
Yeah,
copy them
not
from modern
ultimate, but
days.
not ultimate, but they do like. There's a system in there. Like they thought that shit through. That this isn't just like let's slap that room over there, and there's some thought to that. The Ka statue. Now, this is in ancient Egypt. These stones or wooden statues were used as conduits for the spirits of the dead. A ritual called the opening of the mouth ceremony would be performed by priests to give the statues and the spirits that inhabit them the ability to see, breathe, smell, and hear. Sometimes they were carved into a particular likeness, but other times general statues were created for roving spirits to partake in festivals.
Let's face it, if it was a child that died, the priest was opening his mouth for a different reason.
That has been the At Random podcast. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so the ancestral altar, which is worldwide as well, in societies that practice ancestor worship, namely China, or as we like to call it, the Corona City, people maintain household shrines to the deceased. Tables, urns, or other objects are used to represent each deceased ancestor. In China, some ancestral temples were converted into schools of granaries during the Cultural Revolution. Since the 1980s, however, many shrines have been rebuilt and returned to their original function. There's 2 more left, and one is the Psychopomps, which is in the Philippines and also on other places. Like, it wasn't the Philippines alone. I found this in some other cultures as well. Mm-hmm. Now, psychopomps are spirits, angels, or deities who guide the souls of the deceased to the underworld. In Filipino culture, dead relatives act as psychopomps on a person's deathbed. If they call out for a relative, it is said that the spirit of that relative is waiting for them at the foot of their bed to guide them into the afterlife. And last but not least, worldwide use of funerary art. Since the time of the Neanderthals, we have decorated the gravesites of our dead. The Terracotta Army, the Taj Mahal, and the pyramids are elaborate forms of funerary art. These works of art don't just tell us about the single deceased, they also reveal much about a society's attitude towards death. And with that is all I could find about death. And yeah, whew, fucking glad I got through it.
You just
That was a lot.
powered through that.
Yeah, fucking hell. And dude, like, I think we're a good hour into this episode. Oh, look, an hour and 15. Wow.
I mean, I'm just going to go very quickly here. Am I the only person here who doesn't give a fuck what happens to them once they're dead?
But no, you will not be the problem. Like, no one will care what you think. You're still gonna be my fucking burden or anyone else's burden.
Literally put me in a plastic bag and chuck me in the forest. I don't give a shit. Not even a plastic bag, just chuck me. I don't care.
You know what? Yeah, that would be the best way to do it.
Yeah.
It happens in the animal kingdom. I think we need to go back to nature, people. Like I said in the beginning, it's time. Look, I wanted to quickly touch on something, and I don't know if you'll agree. There's two possibilities with COVID-19, right?
Mm-hmm.
And basically, this is why I wanted to do this episode as well. I hate people freaking out over this. I said it in the past, and at the moment, I didn't quite get the words, but I took the time to write them down. So if you'll stick with me for just one more minute.
Shoot.
There's two possibilities with the COVID-19 virus. One, it's man-made, or two, it's a creation by nature. We softly touched on this. Like, it's probably man-made, it's probably nature, or it could be nature, blah, 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 blah. We touched on this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what episode that was. I think it was at the very beginning.
The epidemic one, I think.
Yeah, probably. Anyway, here's my thoughts on it. If it's man-made, ladies and gentlemen, higher powers or shadow governments, is definitely looking to kill people, a large number of us, to thin out the herd. And my thoughts are basically, they do this so the rest of us could live, because there's too many of us. We're parasites on this planet. We're using up all our natural resources. So if it is man-made, there's nobody that's going to stop it. So why panic and spend all that time panicking when you could be telling the person that you love them? So, like, stop panicking. Even if it is man-made, it doesn't matter. If it is man-made, then it's man-made. And if higher ups are going to kill us, then they're going to kill us. There's nothing we can do about that. But even more, I thought to think, like, because I'm into conspiracies. And so, like, that's my first thought. Like, it's man-made. And if it's not that, then we're going to fucking die, and that's it. Or a lot of us are going to die, and that's it. And we just have to fucking lay down and just be happy with what we had. That's it. And miss our dead and carry, as human beings, carry them to the next life in a proper fashion that complies with nature and not our own satisfaction. But if it's a creation by nature, ladies and gentlemen, maybe this virus is nature's way of saying, you know what, guys, it's too much.
Yeah, stop having sex for like 100 years.
There's too much of you, exactly. I need time to heal. And I feel like, much like our own bodies make white blood cells to fight sicknesses, I could imagine this virus being the planet's white blood cells. It's cleaning its own body of what's impure on this planet. And I think we've strayed so far away from nature and who we once were, because, believe it or not, even if we do not think about it a lot, we are still part of nature. No matter how many walls we surround us with, no matter how big we build our tables, how many families we sit on them, it doesn't matter. We're still animals in our very basic, genes. There's nothing else to it. So maybe it's time to take a break and enjoy this moment with the people that you love, instead of freaking out and buying all the toilet paper, you bunch of shitholes.
If you are one of those people that bought all the toilet paper, just stop listening to this podcast, please.
No, keep listening. You might learn why it's not necessary to buy all that toilet paper.
If you'd stop drinking the bleach for 5 seconds, you might actually be able to pay attention.
No. I disagree again. Keep drinking the bleach.
Yeah, okay.
You're fine. No, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if it's man-made or nature-made. If we're going to die, then we're going to die. And we need to learn to gracefully accept death. Like, seriously, if for the worst case scenario, because like right now I'm at the beginning of getting sick, and I'm gonna power through this. Like I hope by the next episode I'm probably gonna be better. Like I genuinely hope. But if on the off chance the worst happens and I die,
I'm not gonna die.
then listen, dude, you don't know what's gonna happen. Like this virus does hit bad when it hits.
You are in the risk group because you smoke like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, exactly.
And you continue smoking
I'm
even
not
though
gonna
you're
say my
sick,
mistakes.
which you shouldn't do. You need to
Look.
give your lungs some rest.
Look, I'll make you one promise if you do die.
Yeah.
I will personally carve you a rune stone of you fucking a chick while sucking a dick.
That is the best. You know what?
All right?
I'd actually
I will
appreciate that.
actually
I would
carve it for
appreciate
you.
that. Now, and our listeners know this, so you are accountable for the thing that doesn't happen as well, buddy. That is gonna happen if I die.
It will happen. I will do it.
It will happen if I die or not. No, you get what I'm saying? If the worst happens, for my example, I'm 32 years old now. I don't think I've had a bad life. If something were to happen, then I'm sorry for the people I leave behind, you know? Just people just people I think about, like if I die, oh God, that person's
Oh my
gonna
God,
miss me.
stop
and
being
blah, blah,
so
blah, blah, blah.
morbid. Jesus, you're not gonna die.
I'm not being morbid. This is a fucking thing I'm trying to get over, Ali. It's not being morbid. It's being realistic. I'm not gonna be able to change anything about it, so fucking
Yeah.
accept it.
I completely agree.
Cry your moment and have your peace with it and fucking move on.
Yep.
I was just a fucking small cell in the largest fucking thing that ever happened, that is our universe. We're maybe not that important as we think we are, people. So think about that, sit on that for a while, and while you're staying at home, just have fun with each other. Keep fucking, for fuck's sake. Don't stop. Never fucking stop fucking.
Just don't have kids.
Everybody needs to fuck tonight. Just fucking yell my name before I fucking die. And post it on Instagram. That is @random.podcast and this @at.random.podcast.
And then
Take a picture of your
because you can
wife
put not safe
while you scream my name as you
and
come.
because you can put
and
not
just-
safe for work stuff up on Twitter, you might as well put it up on there too because it won't get taken down. And it is @_randompod. And that is @_randompod on Twitter.
There you go.
And just on light of this whole episode that we've done about different funerals and stuff like that, if you'd like to dive into more that realm, I would really recommend a YouTube channel that is called Ask a Mortician. Is this lovely lady? She is a funeral director herself, and she covers like everything from like iconic corpses to different burials and other stuff. So I would really recommend her. She's actually great fun to watch.
All
true.
right. Well, that actually sounds amazing. I might hop on
Ali
that
learned
tonight.
so much about what to do with the corpses of the kids that she sacrificed from that channel. I've seen her work.
Baby helmets.
And on that note,
It's an actual thing that I learned on that channel.
all right, well, that's cool. Okay. Well, and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, I do want to thank you so much for listening.
Don't we have
Enjoy
a
each
goodest
other.
boy of
Tell
the week?
I am the goodest boy of the week. I'm fucking dying, you cunt.
Okay,
That sounds like something the goodest boy would say.
fair enough. So goodest boy of the week is Andy, and my anxiety because it's doing a good job of fucking killing me over here.
Hey, you laughed a couple of times during this episode. Fuck you. Your anxiety is fucking fine.
And
I'm dying. All compassion goes
if
to
Andy
me.
dies,
All right,
we'll do
well-
a Kickstarter to get the funds to buy a gigantic stone and the tools to start making this rune stone.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I want to be plugged up if I die. If I die, somebody's putting a butt plug up there.
Your wife can do that. Wouldn't be the first time.
Just, but I am counting on you to lead my browser history, dude, because. Ooh.
Don't worry. I'll nuke that laptop.
Yeah.
Put
Just,
it in an MRI and just
Won't be enough.
destroy everything on it.
all right. All right. Thank you for listening, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great week until everyone you know and everyone you care about that you love them, because there's not gonna be a better moment in your life than right now. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Stop hoarding toilet paper, you stupid fuck. Bye.